Welcome students. Today we will discuss about the max sign problem using depth first full search algorithm. For this problem, the objective function is f of x is equal to sine of pi x dash by 2 power d, where x dash is integer form of xi binary vector. Here d is dimension. Okay, capital X is equal to small x1, small x2, small xd. It is a Boolean vector. We have to find out either minimum value or maximum value. Okay, x1, x2, it will take binary values. So we have to find out the minimization or maximization for dimensionality 8. So we have already studied about what is depth first full search algorithm. It is a traversing technique, tree traversing technique, where you first visit the root node and then you visit the child nodes and then you will explore the deeper parts of the tree until you reach the leaf node. Once you reach the leaf node, again you will perform backtrack and again you will perform further searching. So let us see the implementation part. So first of all, we are going to use the ready-made function, the DFS function available in this path. So you can see I have placed this binary DFS code, and the syntax for this code is, for this function is df search domain, input arguments are domain, function, and you have to specify the type and d, that means the dimension. Okay, so let us see one by one. So for any problem, if we want to use the DFS algorithm using this package, we have to initialize the domain and function. Okay, let us see what is a domain. So this domain, it is a vector list. Okay, vector list of dimension d. Similarly, fun means this is our objective function. This is our objective function. Here type means you have to specify minimum or maximization. Here d means dimension, that means the number of input variables. You can see from this, number of input variables is 8. So capital D is 8. You are asked to find out the maximization for dimensionality 8. So where x is a binary solution vector. So let us define one by one. Domain, so I already told you it is a vector list. So let us define the vector list. So vector, we will use vector function and we will use the first argument as list, because each variable is stored in the form of list. Okay, list of the values it can take. Okay, so here in this example we are having d number of variables. You can see we want 8 dimensionality, so we initialize with capital D is equal to 8. So the first step is over, and the next step is we have to do is we have to initialize the values or domain values for each variable. That means for 8 variables we have to initialize. So for that we will use for loop I1 colon d, that means 8 times. Since we created a vector, we have to initialize, the root should be learned 8 times. So that's why we called 1 is to d. D means 8 value. So let us initialize the internal vector elements. IP data is the vector list. So for accessing, we have to use a double square brackets, and then I will write again IP data double brackets I, you can delete this. So you have to initialize, each variable can take binary values. So you can see this 0 or 1. So again you have to pass the column vector of 0 and 1. That means you have to specify the range of each values. Okay, range of values that a variable can take. Here I represents the ith input variable. For ith input variable, so it can take only 2 values. So in our case, for max sign problem, all the variables from 1 to 8, it will take 0 and 1 values only. Okay, this step is what we call as initialization. Input variable initialization. So once it is over, the first argument is over, initialization. Next part is the function. Actually what we are doing in this vector list means just we are giving the range of values that a variable can take. So here ith variable can take 0, 1 values only, that is included in the form of column vector. So let us define another argument, that is a function. Let us create another object for our max sign problem. This is the objective function. You can see this. Let us implement this function. Implement objective function. Objective function. The name of the function, let us, it is max sign. We already know the syntax for this. So you can see this function. In this function, what are the variables are there? Input variables. One is xi, small xi, and another one is capital D. Okay, so x and dimensionality. Okay, now if you see this, it has to return the whole value. So what it has to return means, this function has to return the sign of pi, sign function, sign of pi star, pi into, so you can see this pi into x dash. What is x dash means? It is an integer representation of the binary vector x. So x dash is a integer representation of binary vector x. So we have to convert like this by using this statement, as dot integer of x. So this is our x input variable. We are converting, actually this is our binary vector, we have to convert into integer. For that we have used this function. Okay, so after converting it, sin pi, you can use this another brackets also, not a problem. So okay, brace over, and finally by 2 power capital D. You can see this 2 power capital D. So 2 power means 2, you can use other brackets, 2 power dimension DIM. Okay, so we successfully finished it. We successfully finished the implementing the max sign objective function. So you can check the braces. Okay, so now we will call the our DFS algorithm. So we already written here. You can see this, you can copy this, you can call this function, you can call this function. Now you have to initialize each function with domain. Means here the domain name is IP data. Here you can write IP data, and the function name is, you can create what is the function name? maxSign, maxsin, maxSign. If you want to find minimum value or maximum value, you can type maximum value. And the final thing is, you can directly type, we already know that dimensionality is 8, you can see this, so you can directly print it, but it will return a list. So it will return the list as a solution. Let us take another object S1, okay, and finally let us print the output. DF search, the best solution is, so the best or optimum solution is given as capital S1, that is object, and we know we have to use the dollar function to extract the elements, list elements, solution, comma, again its value, F, evaluation value, S1 dollar. Automatically your RStudio will help you, and so you can put another new line also. So with this this is the output statement to print the optimized value. Let us see, we want maximization, that's why we put like this. So let us execute line by line. Let us run one by one. You can see after implementing, so we got the optimum value at this vector position. This is the optimum solution we got, and similarly the optimum value we got this one. Please note it down. If you want the minimum value, you can type like this, and you can save, and you can run again. So the minimum value is 0 0, and then you got the optimum solution as 0 0. So for maxSign function, this is how you will solve this problem.